Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Larry March, and today we're going to be introducing the Intercom products, KMBBT, which is our video entry system. Okay, sorry about that. I was just receiving they told me there was a little echo on the meeting. So we'll be talking about the different receivers that we have. Now let's continue with the presentation. We have the three different families, which is the X1, which is analog. And we have the XIP, which is analog and digital. It's a hybrid of both of them. So you have the X1 with a little more of, of the IP world. So, and then the third one that we have is the IP 360, which is fully IP. First, we're going to start with the X1, which is composed of two data buses that are to control the system. Let's talk about the features of the X1 system. Uh, First, let's start with the secrecy of speech, meaning that you could call from the panel to either the apartment or each individual unit. And once it rings, nobody's gonna be able to hear your conversation until actually the person, the resident from the place picks up the handset, and you communicate just between the person and the other one. Nobody needs to hear your conversation just between those two people. Uh, the next one we could talk about is the call from the start landing, meaning that you have a high end building where you have the residents coming in one side, and then in the rear on the or the landing gear or any in the back you could have UPS, any type of delivery that you want to have, or at the front you don't need to see, so you can actually have the delivery in the back. Basically, that's you could have another panel in the back. The door lock release. Uh, Basically, that when you as the resident will have a special code. So when you go in the front of the building, you can actually uh, dial in your code, and the door will open for you. You don't have to call, like your residence for somebody to open for you. You as the resident could open up the door yourself. The door lock key released from the entry panel. Again, you could call the unit, and from the unit they could go ahead and open the door for you. The external cameras, that's something extra you could put into, connected CCTV cameras into the system. I mean, you could put it into different areas where actually from your receivers, you can actually see, you put it around different areas around the building. And just before you go down, you can actually check those different areas to see, what's going on and stuff like that. The multi-user intercom facilities that are we either within the house or between two different buildings, you can actually communicate with the intercom. And the other one is the single user intercom facility, which is inside the house and communicate. Maybe you're in the living room and you want to call somebody in the bedroom. You go ahead and you tell them, hey, look, please come here, or you need something from, you forgot something, and you could just communicate with them. The auxiliary functions is we have two different auxiliaries that basically is the dry context to be able to control some other things like a magnet or something. You want to open an extra door or different things you could put through those auxiliaries. Or the wire bus. Okay, so here we have the single home application and the riser application. Again, it composed of two wires not polarized. You could go up to 108 calls, meaning that you could have 108 different apartments or units. You could put up to three entry panels. Again, you could have two ACCT cameras connected to a unit, like so you could connect it to different areas, the pool, anything, different areas that maybe before you go down, you could see what's going on out there. You could have integrate an access control, and also you could program it through the PC, which is we do always recommend to program from the computer. And in the single family, you have here we have a Litos, and here with this one we do need a power supply, and again it's gonna be connected to the two wires. And in this one we have the Perla, which is the Perla video. So you do gonna need the XDIB 304 to be able to distribute the video out. This one it gives you with that device you can actually distribute to four different units. In the riser application, here we have the Tangram with different buttons, and here you can actually see where you can open the door. I mean, you could with the relays you could actually put either a magnet to open the door or different things that you could do to open the doors. Again, you have your power supplies, and also you have here to control to be able to communicate between them two and to communicate with the units. And here we have the porter. And for the X1, the only available porter that we have is the meter. And here in this one, you do need another extra power supply for this to be able to control the meter. Now, for once you go up for the other ones, you're gonna connect again the XIV304 for distribute to 4 different units for the video. In these ones, you do not need to supply the power supply. But in this one, again, for the middle, you do need power supply because it needs a little more extra power. And once you go up to the risers again, you could go ahead and distribute the different to the 4 different units. And again, in this one, you have to put the power supply. And here are some of the entry panels, the receivers and the porters that we have for the X1 system, the X1 system. We have the DMBC or the DMC, which is this one. You don't see a faceplate because actually you could customize it to what the customer wants. And it's this one right here. You also have the tangram. And here you have 2 different buttons. You see, you can actually customize the 2 different buttons, so you could put the 4 buttons and break it. You can break it into 4 different, 2 different sizes. And also you have your access control here, which you could put a RFI card reader to to open the door, or give it to different customers to be able to open the door. And here you have your litos, and here you have your MTM, and here is with the camera and 4 different buttons to call for different units. Actually, eight buttons, 4 in this side and 4 in this side. The receivers that we have for this one is the Perla, the Opale, the Opale White, the Nova, the Linea, the Opera, the Mita, and the Futura. And for the porter, again, for this X1 system, the only one that we have available is the Mito SP. Now we're going to continue with the XIP system, which this one is a hybrid of both of them, the X1 and the IP. You're still going to control to the video and the audio through the two data buses, the 2 wires, and then to the IP, you're going to be able to communicate different options. I'm going to go ahead and talk about them. Again, the features that we have with the XIP system again is you have the access control function, which you basically, like I said, put a card reader, to read to give you permission to go into the building. You have the CCTV functions to add the cameras, different cameras around the perimeter of your building. You have in this case, you're gonna have a porter switchboard function, which is a computer. So now you, instead of having the other system that we have in this one, you actually gonna be able to control it with a computer. Remote programming, so you can actually program it. You don't have to be within inside. You can actually connect it from outside and be able to program it. Bi-directional communication. Either you could communicate back and forth, within the different buildings through the receivers. Uh, Again, the porter software is the software that is going to be controlling in the front of the computer that I was talking about, or to have the access to be able to communicate. You come to the front of the building and you need to go. Hey, I need to talk to so and so in this unit. They'll be able to go ahead and communicate or forward you to that person. Expandable system, meaning that you could not just one building, you could span to X amount of buildings to be able to communicate between all of them. The call routing, you could actually with one of the softwares, one of the licenses I'll be talking in a little bit, you could actually forward that call to a landline to so instead of connecting to the receivers, you could actually send it to your job or anything like that to a phone. And again, with unconditional calling, that you go forward to as many, you go forward to another phones. Here is going to be some a scenario of how to connect the XIP. Here you have your server, and here we are connecting just 4 buildings. And as you can see, they're going to be your landline is going to be through Cat5 or Cat6, whatever the customer needs, and you're going to be controlling, in this case, 4 different buildings. Here you have your porter, and again, like I said, you're gonna need your power supply and the control units to be able to communicate between your entry panel and through the porter to all the units. And again, it's the same basically set up for each one of them. And here you have 4 different units. Here's another example of the XIP. In this case, we have 8 different units, which is two here, 4, 6, sorry, 2, 4, 6. And in this case, instead of having the porter in each building, we have the porter like in the front, or like a gate. You have the gate guard with the where that's they come, and from there you could uh, I'm looking for so and so. They could drive you to the person. So the person from the inside tells you go in. Once you go in, you go to the building again. You call from, in this case, a digital. You call the residents there, and they'll open the door for you. And you could actually put cameras and same features that we had talked in the previous one. Again, you need your power supply, and then you're gonna have uh, your communication also device to control the between the digital and the apartments. There's some of the features for the XIP. So we have we have the DMBC or the DMC, which is this one. Again, there's no face plate to it because you actually could customize it to the customer needs. In this one, we have, now you see a different one here. We have the digital. And in this one, you actually have the screen here where you actually could look at as a list to call the residents. So you could actually scroll up and down to call the person that you need to call. You have your access control here. You have your tangram, which is this one right here. And again, in this one, showing two buttons and with the access control. You have your NTM here again with the 8 buttons and the camera. And these are your receivers, which you have the Nova, the Linea, the Opera, the Mito, the Perla, the Opale White, the Store Receiver, and the Futura. And again, now this porter is a little different. Now it's with a computer. It comes with the license. So the license basically you put it into the computer to as a software. Also, there's a software you have to download to be able to control that porter. We have the other mobile apps. This one is to call, like you want to call the cell phone. So when it rings, you can actually hook it up to, once you download the app, you could go ahead and instead of communicating to receiver, it will call your cell phone. But the soft receiver license is for computers. So if you instead of having a receiver, you want to have a laptop or a computer in your house to be able to control that, you can do it that way. And this is your PCS reporter for your porter. And this is the GSD is for be able to, like when you do your forward calling and stuff like that, to be able to call uh, your office or anything like that instead of ringing to a receiver. Now we're gonna talk about the IP 360. In the IP 360 is it's fully IP. And in this case, see, there's you can actually, instead of having a power supply, you could control it with a PoE, with a switch PoE. So in this one, we have 2 tangrams, and its control is the power is actually getting from the switch. Then you're gonna have your 4 different units, and here we have the Futura IP. And again, with the fully IP, you could actually just connect to the internet, to the cloud, and have download the app to your cell phone and be able to communicate to your cell phone. So meaning you could have video, you could open the doors, you could communicate with with anybody. Also in the app, you also have like a little eye that if you're in your office and wants to see what's going on in your building or your residence, you can actually click on that, and it was going to give you the option to either to look at this from this video or from this video, or if you have cameras installed, to be able to see those cameras. Here we have a setup of for like 4 uh, different units, I guess you could say. Here you have your server control to the porter. Then it connects to the PO switch for the power. And here you have your you have a tangram, and you have a leave this is a digital to different panel entries with you could actually connect the cameras also to be able to see around the building. Then you also have here your gateway for your SIP gateway to be able to communicate to a phone or anything like that that you need. You have also another SIP phone here. We also are compatible with Creston. So if your customer has some Creston devices that want to integrate with a system, we are capable of being compatible with Creston. And again, here's your source receiver, like a computer or anything that you want to control also the system with your computer. Once you go up, you can now go ahead and I guess link to another switch to be able to control other units. And again, here once you go to this unit, in here we put another power supply, and here another power supply to extend a little more power to be able to control the other units. Again, you go to your switch, to your Futura IP, or to your you could put it to camera to your cell phone, anything that you want to do in this case. Here we have the different panels that we have for the IP360. We have the Tangram IP, we have the MTM, and we have the MTM VR, which is bundle resistant, which is this one right here. So actually, if you needed a place where you need to be to bundle resistant, you can actually we actually have those type of panel devices. And again, here you have now you had your MTM, but now in this case you have also you could implement a digital device where you can actually look up and down your relations in the building. You have your keypad and you have your access control. And again, for this one, the port is also going to be the same as the X1 IP, which is a computer with the software inside there to be able to control uh, the communication between the building. You have your receivers, which you have Futura, the Futura video. You have the Perla audio. If the customer does not want to have video, it probably just want the audio. Then we could also have the audios for that system. You have your STS video, and here you also have your different type of licenses to be able to call through a cell phone and through different stuff. Here also we also going to be talking about the new receivers that we have, and also in this one we have the XTS 7, which come in 7-inch, and we have the STS 5, which comes in the 5 inches. And again, you could download it with the software. You could use your PC as a receiver with this license, the soft receiver. Here's a different setup, another setup of for your house for the SIP mobile app. And basically, again, you could use here you have the Tangram communicating into the power supply and be able to control to your Perla video, to your tablet, to your phone, to iPad, maybe to a tablet, so you can communicate within the house through your local area network. So your router or anything, so to be able to communicate. So here you have your generic SIP. Here you have your voice over IP to be able to communicate to a phone, a cell phone, anything that you need to call. And you have your different type of devices. Here's some examples of other SIP devices with Crescent. So like I said, we are compatible with Crescent to be able to communicate. If your customer has those devices with Crescent, so integrate them into our system. Let's talk about the MTM family. The MTM family comes in 4 different modules. In this module, we only have with one button. Again, you could have the camera or no camera, but in this case, this one's just going to be audio, and you have one button. In this one, you have one button you can actually put so to communicate with one unit. Here we have 2 modules, so it's one here and another one here. We have the camera, and you have the second module here with 8 different buttons to call 8 different units, 8 different residents to communicate. Here you have the model with three different ones, which is your camera, your buttons, and here's like your access control. So like an RFI card reader to give access to the people. The only thing that we do thing to remember is the access control that we provide is just basically just access control. We don't our system right now does not give you like it doesn't generate a report or when the person or people come in. But you could do different restrictions on who can come in within what time. You could actually do restrictions to it. I just would not generate a report, just something. And here we have the model for different modules. You have here like a display gives you a description of what's going on. You have your video with your button to call. Here in this case, you see where it says porter, so you can actually press the button to call the front of the building where the porter, your receptionist, or your concierge will be. And here you have your digital screen, so you could scroll up and down to call that somebody. Just look through the list. If you can't remember the name, if you don't know the unit, you can just look them up by their name and your keypad. If you actually you already know the number of who you calling, you could just call it. Or again, if you are the residents, you could actually dial yourself in. And here are the now you see that we have the fourth one, but I didn't. We don't talk about it here the fourth one because we have your X1, your XIP, your IP360, and your GSM. But the only thing with the GSM, so hopefully, I don't know, probably in the near future we could actually bring it to here with if they, if we could have it work with instead of we'll make it work with what we have here right now. Doesn't work here. It works in Europe for the 2G. For the serverless residence, here's where you don't need a server to communicate. So basically, you have your Litos, your power supply, and it's gonna go ahead and connect um, to the XLP, which is the wireless. It could communicate to your router and then to your cloud, to your Camera Connect, to your cell phone. And here you could control up to like I said, 4 different apps. You could do the calling, open the door, monitoring, just to be able to communicate. In this one, we have the IP360. And again, it's a serverless. For this one, is serverless. You don't need a server. You have your MTM with just one single button that will go. It will connect to your router, or in this case, you want it to put also a PoE switch, so it gives the power to all different units. So from here, you don't need a power supply. You can actually connect to if you can get the power from your PoE switch. You connect to a Futura IP or to a tablet. Again, you have 4 different. This system will come with 4 different licenses. So if you don't want none of this, you just want to communicate to your cell phone, you have 4 different licenses to connect to your cell phone. Or you could put the Futura IP and then maybe a tablet on your house, or you can have a combination of both your tablets and two cell phones to if that's what the customer needs are. Here's another type of scenario. You have your 2 MTMs that will connect to basically without just with in this case without server. But the only thing is in this side, you have your 4 different licenses. So in this case, you have the Futura IP, the tablet, and maybe 2 extra cell phones. But in this case, this person maybe wants to have more than four licenses. So we will put this type of device to go ahead and add more licenses to it. So what you maybe just need 6 licenses. You can go ahead and add the 6 licenses to have more, or the ability of to communicate to 6 different phones instead of just 4. And in this case, we have here another different scenario, which have building 1, building 2, and 3. You could have in the front, you could have your MTM, like your outside panel, and then you could have inside 3 different buildings, which is building 1, 2, and 3, and have them communicate through this way. So again, once you communicate to the first building, this one could communicate to this one, and this one could communicate to the receivers in the building. And again, it could go up to how many units you have in the building. In the other case, now you could have maybe in the other building you wanted to have a porter to communicate. So main panel will communicate to the porter, and the porter could communicate now before, once you have another extra panel to go in the back or in the rear to communicate through to the different units in the building. In this case, kind of the same, similar to the other one, but we have here the tangram. We use a different type of panel to communicate to your system. Here is a this is a new product that's going to come out. It should be coming out before the end of the year. I mean, it's already in the works, just with the pandemic that we have, that we have gone through. It should be coming out soon, but it's a nice design. It's a it's a touch screen, and it's actually vandal resistant already. Right now we have it in black. We have the two different options: flush mount or a little recess. And like I said, it's coming out soon. Also, we have here the other product, which is replacing the Agatha. It's called the AGT. They give her a different look. The handset is the most lighter. It has a different look, very fancy. And you could have it in video, or you could just have it with the video, or you could just have it with the audio. And here are some of the reference where we actually have installed this type of devices. In New York City, we did 128 units with a Perla and one digital. In Newark, New Jersey, we did 160 Perla audios and two digitals, one in the front and one in the rear. A location where we actually have installed these devices.